remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon, and there's no sequel. So...
Ricky Gervais is a comedian that I have mixed feelings on. I love the way he talks about religion, and I think some of his tweets are pretty funny. And also, I like his show about grief on Netflix.
Terrible, isn't it? Scarred for life.
Hardly scarred for life. She's 93. If she lives to 100, she's only been scarred for 7% of her life.
But he also has a slight edgelord vibe to his comedy that doesn't always land. So when I heard through a podcast that I love, The Weekly Planet, that he was in a movie where he couldn't lie, but he invented religion, I knew I would have to cover it. I also wasn't shocked when I found out a lot of people didn't like it for the obvious reasons, like its depiction of religion, and because it just wasn't that funny or interesting. So will The Invention of Lying be any good, or at the very least funny? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's get into it. The movie opens with narration from Ricky, where he explains that in this universe, the human race evolved to never lie. So now everyone just says whatever they think, even if it's a bit harsh. So our main character, Mark, is going to see Anna for a date that they're supposed to go on. And while he waits for her to get ready, he just babbles all what should be inside thoughts to her. And then she tells him that she doesn't find him attractive and that she just masturbated. Wait, is this movie supposed to be a comedy? Let me just double check that real quick. Okay, so where's the joke in this? At the restaurant, the waiter tells Mark that Anna is out of his league before the two continue to overshare pointless information that they try to play for a laugh. The world's most awkward date thankfully comes to an end, so Anna kisses Mark on the cheek, and he goes home to see Mary Lightly from Psych promoting Coke in a commercial?
I'm Bob, I work for Coke, and I'm asking you to not stop buying Coke. It's a bit sweet. Thank you.
In the elevator the next morning, Mark tells his neighbor Frank that he thinks he's getting fired, and Frank's response is that he tried to kill himself the night before. Now, Mark's job is as a screenwriter for what acts as movies in this universe, and that is just having people read events from history on camera, because if nobody can lie, then nobody can make up stories, so they don't really have entertainment in this universe either, I guess. Maybe that's why everyone's so mean to each other, because they have nothing else to do. Mark's boss Anthony walks back and forth in front of Mark's office in this kind of funny moment where he doesn't want to talk to Mark because he's about to fire him. So Rob Lowe's Brad comes over for more comedy when he tells Mark how much he hates him and how much more successful he is than him.
Is that why you came over to talk to me, to tell me you hated me?
No, I came to say goodbye to you, and the rest of it just sort of happened on its own.
Came out, yeah, sure.
Brad also uses some pretty homophobic wording that just makes this whole interaction really hard to watch because it's not even remotely funny. Because he got fired, Mark's landlord wants to evict him, which leads us to the invention of the lying moment. Mark goes to a bank in order to get all of his money out, and the bank teller tells him that the system is down, so she asks him to tell her how much is in his account. In that moment, for whatever reason, his brain pulses, and he lies about how much he has. So, when the system comes back online, the teller thinks the system is wrong, not that he lied, because she wouldn't even know what that is anyways. Later on, Mark tries to tell his friend Greg, played by the creep himself, Louis C.K., about what happened, but he's unable to comprehend what lying is. So naturally, Mark decides to use his newfound powers of lying to trick a woman into having sex with him by telling her that if they don't, the world is going to end. Thankfully, the movie doesn't go through with it, and Mark realizes this was a super creepy thing to do because it's a super creepy thing to do. Instead, he decides to get rich and has a drunk Greg drive him where he needs to go, also Edward Norton can pull them over in a cameo. Again, this movie tries to be funny, but misses the mark by a mile. The cop lets him go after Mark tells the cop that Greg isn't drunk, so the cop just lets them go. And our dynamic duo go to a casino to win money by lying about where he placed his bet And he also tells the casino manager that he won the jackpot when he didn't. What follows all of this is a montage of Mark helping people by lying to make their life better, even though 24 hours prior he tried to trick a woman into sleeping with him. He's got to make up for that somehow.
So Mark decides to call up Anna and ask her on another date. But she tells him that she's still not into him because even though he has money, he's still an uggo. So Mark comes up with an idea to lie and write a fictional screenplay in order to get his job back. Now, even though Anna is not into Mark, and she's made that very clear, she instead friend zones him, but still agrees to go to dinner with him and string him along.
His dinner with Anna is interrupted when he gets a call about his mom being at the hospital, so he ends up leaving the dinner early to rush over there. Where Jason Bateman comes in as an overly honest doctor to tell Mark that his mom is looking pretty rough.
It's fajita night downstairs in the cafeteria, so you might want to grab yourself a little bite down there after Mom dies. Okay?
To soothe his mom's thoughts about dying, he invents religion by telling her about heaven, but the staff overhears him. So when Mark goes back to his house the next morning, it's surrounded by news agencies and people asking him about what happens after you die. He explains it to Anna when she comes over and tells her about what he told his mom, so she insists that he has to tell everyone because it will make them happy. Now, the whole world knows and is patiently waiting for him, so Mark writes down everything they need to know on some Pizza Hut boxes. His plan doesn't go super well, as he then has to explain hell, sinning, what a sin is, how God does good and bad things, and other religious Ricky Gervais checklist items. Another montage shows us news headlines about the man in the sky doing good and bad things, Mark's newfound success, and his movie getting made. Even though Anna tells Mark that she loves him, she still won't be with him because he's, an uggo in her eyes. Instead, she goes out with the guy Brad, who has always been mean to Mark, and she reminds him again that he's not attractive. In his frustration, Mark invents the don't have sex unless you're married rule, which backfires in an unfunny gag about Anna giving him a coupon to have sex with her. Bone! On her date with Brad, the movie once again hammers it over your head that Mark is ugly when she says it to Brad at dinner. Turns out Mark is depressed, and all the money, fame, and man in the sky stuff didn't make him happy like he wanted. So time passes, and now Mark looks like Jesus when Anna stops by to give him an invite to her wedding with Brad. Now, to wrap this movie up, Mark shaves and goes to the wedding. He pleads for Anna to be with him instead, and they end up together. Oh, and at the end, it turns out his kid can also lie, because when Anna serves them just the most disgusting food, they both lie to her and tell her that it tastes good, which isn't an overused, overplayed, outdated, and unfunny stereotypical joke about women in the kitchen. But hey, go off, Ricky Gervais. On the surface, the invention of lying is an interesting idea, but in execution, not only is it not funny or compelling, it also doesn't make any sense. Why would not being able to lie mean you go around saying all these unfiltered thoughts? If someone came up to you and asked if you liked something, you could just walk away or say no and leave it at that. Instead, in this world, people mostly respond by just being mean and rude. My guess is that they added that element so we could have all those hilarious moments, kind of like, yeah, this movie isn't really that funny. Almost all the jokes revolve around someone blurting out offensive things or are set up by Mark making up religion on the spot, which all of that led me to question this universe more and more as the movie went on. If no one in the history of humankind was able to lie and everyone just says whatever they're thinking, how on earth is everything exactly the same as our world where we can lie? On pretty much every single level, that makes zero sense. And I get you're not supposed to think about it, but it's hard not to once you do think about it. Like, how do Coke and Pepsi still exist, and Pepsi is making fun of itself on bus ads?
Coke was created because of the Civil War. So was there still a civil war in this world too? Or how do they have gambling? I feel like lying is a big part of gambling, or at least lying to yourself. But the biggest of all is, how are there still politicians in this universe? I mean, let's be honest, every politician lies. It's like what they're the best at. They're better at lying than they are actually doing anything. So how on earth do they still exist in this universe?
The movie loves to point out that Mark isn't good looking, that he's a loser, and that nothing he does really matters. And the fact that this mostly comes from Anna, the main love interest, makes me wonder why Mark wants her in the first place. At one point, he tells her that she's the most amazing and kind person he knows, but she still won't be with him because she's worried their kids will have snub noses and be fat. She also is extremely mean to him until he has money. She openly judges people in public, she thinks she's amazing, and she believes she's the best catch around. This is not a good love story for so many reasons, but mainly because the two main leads aren't likable in pretty much every single way. This whole movie almost feels like it's pro-lying to a small point. Certain things play out that give off a life would be better if you lied, like Mark's montage of helping people. All he does is tell people what they want to hear, and the movie plays it like it's a good thing, but we know he's lying. So is this movie telling you to go around and lie to people to make them feel better? Or can you only tell people what they want to hear if you know how to lie? Like, if Mark was a good person, couldn't he just go up to people and be like, hey, it's okay, man, it'll get better? That's not really lying, that's just optimism. So I guess optimism doesn't exist in this world either. Mark's whole story is about lying left and right in order to make people happy. But by the end, the man in the sky stuff actually makes people unhappy, and he doesn't come clean about it. I think Mark might be one of the most unlikable main characters who is supposed to be liked that I've seen in a really long time. Also, there's a lot of product placement in this movie, to the point where it's kind of jarring at times. Like how his list of things to know about the man in the sky are attached to Pizza Hut boxes, or the little Coke commercial we get, and the fact that the Pepsi bus ad doesn't have any Pepsi markings because this movie is pro-Coke. Now, what is funny about this is that apparently when Matthew Robinson wrote these things into the script, they did it to make the world feel more like ours. That's a bad idea because this shouldn't be like our world, but I digress. Anyways, when they went to these brands for sponsorship, they wouldn't agree, so they left these in anyways because they were protected because this movie is technically satire. So not really product placement because they didn't get paid, just unnecessary, egregious advertisement in a movie. The Invention of Lying just didn't do it for me in any way. It's not funny, it's not interesting with the world, and it has a very creepy and poorly written love story. These reasons and more are landing The Invention of Lying in just plain garbage. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my video on Osmosis Jones, a very gross kids movie. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what movie you'd like to see me cover in the future.